Welcome back. This is the 14th video in our Squeeze Setups onboarding series, and in this video, we're going to focus on the morning brief. In our last video, we looked at watch list, where you give a list of tickers to find where setups might be brewing inside of that list. In the morning brief, you instead get a list of tickers where you can take a look to see which stocks might be in play. Let me show you how to read the morning brief. This can be really useful, especially if you have a full-time job or something else that requires your focus, or you simply don't want to start looking from scratch every single day. You're maybe a trader who likes to focus in. Well, the morning brief helps give you that focus. Now let's start at the top in the brief, and the one thing that should call your attention is the date and the number of setups. Today, for example, we had 19 setups. That may sound like a lot, but out of these 19, not all of them will have liquid options, and not all of them will actually be giving you a setup, an entry of some kind. Now at this point, everything else on this board should look familiar. The symbol should be familiar. All of these time frames should be familiar. You should be familiar with the time frame confluence, with what you should see in the backtest and how to read the backtest, along with this notion of in squeeze. The one thing that is different, however, is this signal column. Let me walk you through what's different in this signal column and why this signal column adds a lot of weight. Now, inside of the signal column, we're looking for bias. And what we do is we go and we scour through these setups trying to find some reason we would either want to be long or short on larger time frame charts. Now, those reasons can stem from something as simple as a trend reversal that's been recent, or a pullback to our market pulse line, or even multiple squeezes that we have with confluence of histograms as well, meaning momentum and squeeze on our side, and that is the core setup along with trend. So if we take a look at this, you'll notice one of those three different combinations. So we have trend reversals, we have first pullbacks, and we have squeeze setups. So that gives us our bias, that gives us our reason, some setup that is giving us a reason to want to naturally be long, anchored on a higher time frame. Now, one other thing that you will notice in that column is if we're near the mean, we're pulling back, or if we have momentum on our side. You can use that to filter out trades based off of your trading style. Some of you are pure pullback traders, and if you are a pure pullback trader, then you may want to be avoiding the trades that have this runner badge, which are the ones in which you should be putting on some sort of a starter position. If you want to avoid those, maybe focus in on the places where you're near the mean. If you're a momentum-based trader, then you know very clearly that all the places where you see Momo is the places where you want to have that momentum. Focus in on those tickers like, say, Capital One Financial. Now, speaking of Capital One Financial, right away we can see this negative 0.3% per trade, which tells us that, okay, we have this recent trend reversal. We know that with the slingshot squeeze or the squeeze signals, we don't tend to see any kind of pullback. Let's come into the chart, let's load in Capital One Financial, and let's take a look at what the charts look like here to see is there any kind of setup. Okay, sure, it does look like we did have a recent trend reversal. It does look like we have squeezes on some time frames, but not a lot of time frames. What do we want to be looking at here in terms of an entry? Are we seeing Capital One Financial on our board here? Well, no, I don't see it. So we don't really have Capital One Financial as a stock currently giving us any kind of trigger. However, it is a stock that's on our radar, which is why you'll see it on the morning brief. So I hope that helps give you a distinction of which stocks you will see on the morning brief versus the squeeze board. The squeeze board is your narrowed list of places where you actually have the trigger, places where you have a real entry, stop, target, a setup that you can take advantage of. The morning brief helps give you places where stocks are in play, places where you have stocks with a lot of squeezes that are setting up, or places where we think that slingshot squeeze or squeeze signal is likely to come, and you can start to pay attention. Now, the last thing I'll call out is this right here, which is places where you actually do have the trigger. You'll be able to see what time frame. So for example, on electronic arts, we have the slingshot squeeze that's triggered on the 2-hour time frame chart. If we come in and we open up the charts of electronic arts on the 2-hour time frame, we can see where the slingshot squeeze triggered. We can see all of the different squeezes that are brewing, and we can take a look at even the daily time frame to see, okay, is this a setup we really want to trade? Yes or no? So that's how you use the morning brief. One more time to summarize, the morning brief tells you what stocks are likely to be in play today and helps give you the exact reason why we're looking at those stocks. You get the same information as we've seen on the rest of the platform at your fingertips, so you can piece everything together to pick and choose the setups you care to dive deeper and actually trade. I hope you're enjoying this onboarding series so far. We're almost at the tail end where we'll slowly start to talk about trade journals and even give you a spreadsheet so you can start to place trades and measure your performance. See you in the next video.